going on, guys? This is Hreha for the CROC Party here with our second video for the CROC channel. I'm with Ben Seevers and Kent Harkleroad. Both are going to be seniors at Apollo Ridge High School next year, getting ready to lead the charge for the CROC Party in what will be the second full school year of the CROC Party, third overall. We sort of made it halfway in between. But I'm not going golfing today, even though it sort of looks like I am. I'm here to promote the crocBRAND, which is, you know, this visor and this nice polo we got here. This, along with other pieces of merchandise, are going to be on our website here coming up pretty soon. Pretty excited about getting this out to the people who want to support the CROC Party. You can get it with, you know, this crocBRAND logo or the old school, the original CROC Party logo that, you know, we all know and love. Ben's wearing his Dale Kerns shirt. Ben, if you want to talk about Dale Kerns a little bit.
Hello. Dale Kerns is running for Senate this year as a Libertarian. He's running against the Republican and Democrat nominees, Lou Barletta, the Republican, and Bob Casey, the incumbent Democrat. I'll tell you a little bit about him. He's way better than Barletta. Like, Barletta's a fake conservative. He's voted for tax increases, tax hikes, more spending. He supports tariffs and protectionism. He just flip-flops on so many issues like immigration and such, and he just isn't a real conservative. Dale Kerns, he's for lower taxes, less regulation. He's pro-immigration. He's pro-free trade, and he's way better than both Bob Casey and Lou Barletta. Bob Casey and Lou Barletta have voted with each other in the past when it comes to tax hikes during the Obama administration, and they flip-flop on so many issues. We need a consistent and principled candidate in office, so I urge everybody to go out and vote for Dale Kerns this November in the 2018 election.
And Ben, you talked a little bit about how Dale's opponents are, you know, in favor of tariffs. What are your thoughts as we've seen, you know, tariffs start to set in on the U.S. economy?
Well, at first, like, we have to go back down to the tax cuts. When you look at tax cuts, and I think the savings that tax cuts caused our economy was around like $150 billion. I think that's the number. World trade is valued at world trade with the U.S. is valued to over like $3 trillion. So these tax I'm just gonna call them taxes. That's essentially what tariffs are on trade. Have been hitting their businesses hard. Like businesses have decreased like their predicted employment this year. We've already been seeing businesses lay off people. Like Harley Davidson's just announced that they're going to outsourcing jobs. And this nail producer in Missouri just like announced that he's laying like I think 60-some people off. And just in the past, we look at Bush tariffs and steel and aluminum. It costed our economy like 200,000 jobs, but only created like 2,000 steel jobs. And it's obviously doesn't help. It's a tax on consumers, tax on goods, and it increases the cost for everyone. And it's negating all of the positive effects of the tax cuts.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing for me when you look at Trump's effect on the economy. The tax cuts have helped so much, and you know, businesses were getting very confident, and the stocks were rising, and everything was great, right? Everything was great. And then we go to international and tariffs. And it's like, wait, hold on. Why? Why?
Right.
Why did we have to, you know, reverse all the good effects that we've already, you know, all the positive action we've put into place since Trump's been in office, and now we're going back and we're just, you know, undoing it essentially. Kent, if you have anything to add on tariffs?
I'm not big on the economy, but I've definitely seen through the statistics on Twitter, just through like the people that I follow, about Dow and how that's been affected through the tariffs, with Dow dropping 400 points this week, I think.
Yeah. And you know, at the beginning of the Trump presidency, we saw you know, the Dow climb and reach record heights, and like you said, now to see it fall, and because of something like tariffs, which, I mean, most economists, regardless of which side you're on, say tariffs are bad. So
yeah,
it's disheartening, and hopefully, we can find better ways to win trade wars and establish, the international supremacy that Trump looks to establish with America. Hopefully we can find other ways to do that other than tariffs, where we're basically shooting ourselves in the foot.
You just look at all the stuff he's done since the beginning of his administration, like all the tariffs he's placed on products such as lumber. Lumber prices have risen. That was one of his first actions when he went to office. He laid tariffs on lumber. He's laid tariffs on solar voltaics and washing machines. He's laid tariffs on steel and aluminum. Now he's announcing that he's going to put tariffs on around over $100 billion worth of Chinese imports. And now other countries are retaliating. The retaliation is what caused Harley-Davidson to make their decision. And in conjunction with that, he's also proposed to increase his gas tax, and he's been continuing inflationary policies. So he's just, as Drew said, he's shooting himself in the foot and shooting the U.S. economy down, because everything was going so well with the tax cuts and everything. But now he's just reversing all the positive effects we've seen in the past year or so.
Absolutely. And Kent, I know you said you're not really big on your economic policy, but something that you are pretty big on is the issue right now at the border, which is something that has everyone talking on both sides, and it's been prevalent lately. What are your thoughts on our border policy right now, where it's going, and especially the hot button issue? It's separation of families at the border. What are your thoughts?
Well, to begin, I'm all for immigration as long as it's done legally and through the proper processes. If a family from, just because it's pertinent to us, Mexico decides to illegally cross the border, and they're stopped by Border Patrol or any other law enforcement and are sent back to Mexico, I personally feel that the entire family should be sent back, and it shouldn't be they should not be separated. And that's I feel that's the opposite to what a lot of people view as they should all be allowed to stay and be allowed to go through those processes after they're already in the country, which doesn't make sense to me, because they've already broken our laws and they aren't citizens, and they should be sent back to Mexico without having the opportunity to become a part of our system. And it would waste a lot of the government's money and time on this. And I think that the border policies need to become more strict and not allow for the separation to occur, because it is wrong, but I think it's being looked at in the wrong way, and everybody needs sent back.
Now, see, a couple times there with what you said, it almost sounded like you were quoting, former President Barack Obama in 2009 when he said that we needed to get stronger at the border and, to promote those who are trying to come here legally and going through the process. And the biggest problem is we understand why people come to the United States. A lot of times it's because, fleeing gang violence in Mexico and, all sorts of reasons. But there is a process, and there's an established process. And there, I believe, are 9 different sites in Mexico where you can...
something like that.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
You look at a map of Mexico with it plotted out, and it's a lot of places where you can go and you can become a United States citizen legally. So, let's pump the brakes on the whole, because I get it. I get, where everyone's coming from with the separation. I just fear that, especially from the left, we're going to say, okay, can you compromise with us? Can we keep them from keep from separating families? And then the right's going to go, yeah, well, that's sensible. That's what everyone wants. And then the left's going to, as what usually happens, say, okay, so now everyone can come over, right?
Right.
The kid stays, so the family stays. And now we're back in the loop, back where we've been with this endless immigration debate. And all three of us here are for immigration. Immigration's what made this country what it is. But it has to be done the right way, or else, why don't we just have open borders? And we turn into Europe. And the last thing we need is someone catching a train from Central America and being able to take it the whole way to the United States. I mean, look how awful that has. Look at all the all the terrorism and all the hurt and the violence that has occurred in Europe, because people are allowed to just travel freely. You can take a train anywhere. So it needs to be fixed, and I think that the last thing either side should be doing is, pointing the finger and saying you're wrong, because we need to come together on this issue. Ben, if you have any thoughts on it.
I think ultimately anything like enforcing immigration, putting up walls, doesn't really fix the issue. I think we need to look at why these people want to come here. The thing is, a lot of these people are prevented from coming here because of quotas, and a lot of the other big chunk of it is people like green card overstays coming over here, and you stay past the amount of time you're allowed to. And I think we need to look at those issues. I think we need to get rid of quotas and allow, if you want to come here, you can come here, just go through our process. Return to kind of an Ellis Island style approach to immigration, where we check criminal record, we check for diseases and mental illness, instead of just instead of having a fee, instead of having them take a test, instead of putting quotas on how many people can come from where. That just causes issues, because then people want to try to come into our country illegally. That's what causes this illegal influx of immigrants. And of course, there's always going to be people trying to come here illegally, like people who have been prevented from coming here, like such criminals or people with mental illness or disease. But it's going to be much less than what it is now if that was just the case. If that was the only people, if those were the only people coming here, and that's I really let go approach to it, but we shouldn't have open borders, and we shouldn't just let anyone come here. And that's
there needs to be a more detailed process, but it also needs to, I don't want to say easier to allow people to come in. What am I looking for here? Just allow more people to come in, and like Ben said, remove the quotas. Eliminate the green card overstaying issues.
Like that.
Make it less government.
Right.
Less
government.
I want less government, and the biggest thing behind the quota issue is people are concerned about them stealing jobs. But we just have learned that's just not the case. More people coming to our country equals more labor power, such as at farms.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many people would be willing to go get a farm job in today's day and age with technological renaissance. And more people going into different courses of going into more different jobs. So I don't think people would be really inclined to go work in these farms, which that has been the case. It also increases the amount of cheap labor. Cheap labor is good. It decreases the price of products. So I think immigration is an overall positive thing. They're not stealing jobs, and that's the whole basis behind behind why we have quotas. So we should just get rid of quotas. It doesn't make much sense.
And the thing too with jobs is the fact that, with the growth of the economy the past 2 years, job growth has, increased exponentially. It's insane now that, you used to think, even if I go to college, even if I get a college education, I still might not get a job. That thought's starting to roll back now. People are starting to say, okay, I'm getting what I'm paying for. And, you're seeing that prevalent 22, 23, 24, 25-year-olds who are coming out of college and finding jobs in a lot of different areas, which is really good. So I think if that can continue and we still can't solve the immigration issue, I really hope that, like Ben said, our government can look and say, listen, the whole quota thing just isn't working anymore. And, maybe let's take that approach as opposed to just yelling at each other over families and getting into a morality debate, because ultimately that's what it's turned into. It's the left saying, you guys don't care about children, this and that, and they're ignoring the fact that, a lot of these policies have been around since the Obama administration. So it's not just President Trump hates, everyone on the face of the earth. It's, maybe it's a deeper issue than that. Something else, too, that I wanted to bring up real quick to end this episode, especially with, coming off of the whole left versus right tension, is, obviously our closest city's Pittsburgh, and, we all care about the city of Pittsburgh. And recently there's been protests over the shooting of Antoine Rose. For those of you that don't know, Antoine Rose was a 17-year-old male. He was approached by police, decided to run, and was shot and killed. there was video of him, about half an hour before the shooting that he had, had a gun and was shooting somewhere else. The police were then, dispatched, and ultimately he was shot and killed. And of course, you see this every single time someone is shot and killed. Everyone goes to their side. You have the left that says, all cops are bad, cops are killers, the injustice in the criminal justice system. And then you have people on the right that will instantly say, well, he deserved it, I wanted to address this real quick because it's something that's, been really weighing on me as this issue continues to happen over and over again. We can't, there's no way we're fixing this if we continue to just dart to our side. And as someone who's pro law enforcement and pro cops, and back the blue, everything, absolutely. Regardless of what side you're on, you have to put yourself in the other side's shoes, or else we're never gonna be able to come to the table and fix this. As someone who's behind law enforcement, it really dawned on me that I had never thought about it as, well, put yourself on the other side. That's regardless of what he did, he's a child of God. That never dawned on me. Antoine Rose was a child of God. Antoine Rose was created in the image of God, just as we were, just as everyone is. So, did he deserve to die? No. Now, under Pennsylvania state law, the cop was allowed to shoot in that situation. But I don't believe Antoine Rose deserved to die. And on the other side, on the left, if you're protesting, first off, protest is another reason this country is so great. Please don't violently protest, because that's not good. We don't want that. And if you're on that side and you've never thought about it this way before, ask yourself how that cop feels right now. That cop had just been put on duty. Like, that was his first day on duty. He did not go to work that day and say, I'm going to kill someone.
I hope not.
He did, and that's just, it's just, he has a family, he has people that care about him, and the last thing he wanted to do was to shoot and kill Antoine Rose. So, regardless of what side you're on, remember that, those involved have families, those involved have people that care about them, and just don't jump to the side. Think about it a little bit and reach across and talk to people about this stuff. It's never, we're never going to fix anything if we don't want to talk to each other and we want to go straight to, rioting in the streets, or go straight to, yelling and talking down to people. We're never going to fix it. Guys, if you have any thoughts on the issue.
I think, to this issue, there's no clear-cut, easy solution to it. There's obviously different cases. This, I believe, was a cop was called in because there was a shooting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there's also been other cases in the past where there was a young black man or a young black kid who was killed for other reasons, such as I forget his name, but the cop put him in a chokehold because he was selling cigarettes.
Yeah.
I think overall, police violence, or just violence in general, comes down to a few issues, such as the war on drugs. I think if we end the war on drugs, a lot of this violence will end, because this stuff will be no longer considered as a crime.
Yeah.
So obviously that man wouldn't have been killed for him selling drugs. Selling a drug, a cigarette outside a store. He wouldn't have been put in a chokehold. But for Antoine Rose, I don't know what could have fixed it. It was just one of those things. This stuff will never end. Violence has always been around. But we need to stop thinking about race, because if Antoine Rose was white, maybe the same thing would have happened. We don't know. We're just not sure. Nobody knows. So, especially in a situation where there's a shooting and a cop is sent in on his first day to go respond to this, and with everything else going on in this world, riots and racial division, I don't know what could have been going through his mind. And some people, when put in situations like that, some people act in a manner like where like the cop did.
Yeah.
And same thing as the black kid did. I'm not blaming anyone. He ran. I don't blame him. Like, it's just that he ran because like he sees everything that's been going on in the world right now. People getting gunned down. From his point of view, people are getting gunned down, or same like people are getting shot. That's just what he sees. That's just what he saw in the news, in the media, and that's
Right.
that it just comes down to that.
That's
I don't
where
blame either.
That's where I wanted to go with this.
Yeah.
Is it's all this fear, and that's the biggest. That if we could narrow this situation and most situations where law enforcement and citizens have violent interactions, it's fear. It's the fear that is driven by the leftist media that if you're committing a crime, you should fear the police.
Mhm.
If your skin color is different than the policeman, you should fear the police. We need to stop that.
Right.
You know, reach out to your local law enforcement and talk. You know, there's videos all over the internet of, you know, police officers playing basketball with local kids, or, you know, police officers doing good things, but we don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about police officers hate you, which they don't. And don't get me wrong, they're bad cops. There's people that are bad at their jobs everywhere. But this whole fear of the other side, the fear of someone who's on the other side, is really what's driving this, and the media does not help at all.
Right. Yeah. Before we close out, going off of what Drew said, it's an issue that nobody does want to cover, and there are definitely corrupt cops out there.
Yeah.
Who will go after somebody of a different race than them, or somebody from a different social standard, the economic standard than them. But it's from what I know, it is dealt with whenever it comes up through either the local judicial system or a state level judicial system. But you can let the small amount of corrupt cops ruin the whole group. The police are a good thing. They're there to protect the citizens. It is their job. It is what they do. Just, you can't let the problem expand over the entire group. It's generalizing. People are accused of it all the time. One bad person doesn't make the group bad.
Exactly.
That's
And
all I'm gonna say about
especially a group that, you know, every day goes out and lays their lives on the line. I mean, every
Right.
day you step out that door, you don't know whether or not you're coming back. So, it was good talking to you guys.
Yeah.
It was good, you know, getting able to do another video. Hopefully we can do this again.
Yeah, I
Kent,
think
I love the outdoor scene. This was Kent's idea. This is, you know, great, 100% great idea. I love, you know, the scenery, and I'm sure our viewers will appreciate it too.
Yeah.
So, for Ben Seevers and Kent Harkleroad, I'm Drew Hreha. Good to talk to you guys again. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow us on, you know, everything. Click the link in our bios and become a member of the CROC Party. We have a ton of followers, but we're just now starting to see our membership grow. So make sure you join. It takes 2 minutes. It's an easy form. Join and become a part of this, because we're really excited about the growth that we're seeing, and a lot of the different stuff we're doing this summer is going to be really interesting. So thanks for watching, and
Vote for Dale
vote
Kerns.
for Dale Kerns.
Link in the description. Check his website out. Learn about it. Get your information. It's time for a third-party candidate.
Absolutely. Time to shake up the system, boys. Till next time, this is the CROC Party.